Welcome everyone, this is E2KGn30. Can I say that again one more time? This is E2KGn30. So this is the Enough to Keep Going in 30 podcast. This is our newscast, and join us is the regular cast. This is Osiris Prime and Zeus Adamus, and we are going to get you in and out in 30 minutes. So we've got for the week after E3, there's still some news trickling out, whether they're things that maybe didn't get quite the same amount of hype as big name items during the E3, and we want to come back and touch on those items, or there's been some new news coming out this week. So first and foremost, I'm going to hijack the agenda, gentlemen, and do a little bit of Destiny, because I have to just get this off my chest, and then I'll move on. So this afternoon, Bungie announced what they're going to do, or one of the things that they're going to do for Destiny players in Destiny 2. And depending on what different achievements you've got, if you completed certain things in different years, you get an emblem. Maybe 2 emblems that show that you did different things. You could get up to 7 emblems if you've completed all their milestones that they have laid out here. So these milestones include things like a Moments of Triumph during the first year, completing all Moments of Triumph during the first year, own the Taken King and did 1 Moment of Triumph, own the Taken King and did all Moments of Triumph, hit a certain rank in Iron Banner, hit the top rank in Rise of Iron, hit the top rank in Rise of Iron, or the one that actually seems to reward people the most is if you've achieved a Grimoire score of 5,000 or more. So this means it's somebody who is really into the world. So there may be other things. They haven't said that this is the only thing that they're going to be getting, but no shaders, no armor, no new special ships, emblem. And so I guess that is news, and I will leave my commentary for another time. So, but I'm going to move on to something that is a little more engaging and a little more, maybe not exciting, but something that maybe ties in with the platform that it's playing on, which is Prime. You've got some news here. One of the big things coming out of Nintendo Spotlight from last week at E3 was the announcement of Rocket League. And so you've got some more news about Rocket League on the Switch, correct?
Yes. So they were talking with, let me see, who was this? The vice president of Psyonix, I believe is how you say it, Jeremy Denham, and the producer Bobby Garza, just getting some more details on the Switch version. So they said that you're going to get all the modes that you have on Xbox and Steam and PS4, so the consoles and PC. You'll get season mode, hoops, which is their like basketball type game, drop shot, which just came out a few months, well, maybe earlier this year, rumble, which I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to check back and look what that is, and Snow Day, which is their hockey game, which I just found out like a month ago or so, which is really cool. So you'll get all that, and then kind of the Switch. Special things for the Switch, you'll be able to hook up to 8 switches. So they're high. So that's 4 and 4, which is their highest number of players on the teams. And then you'll be able to do two player split screen on one undocked switch, and then 4 player on a docked switch. So which makes sense because I don't think you want to do 4 players on that little screen. That'd be kind of hard. Plus, they're looking to get it locked at 60 frames per second on it docked and undocked. And I guess it was kind of a challenge for them because they saw that Mario Kart was running 60 frames per second when it's docked or undocked, and that kind of got their I guess their creative juice is flowing, so they wanted to try to do that too. So I mean, they should be able to do it since you're on a static field. You know, it's just the cars moving around. Basically, you have the crowd in the background a little bit, kind of like jiggling back and forth. But other than that, I mean, I don't see a problem with them getting that going. So, and I thought there was one more thing here. Oh, and then as far as like motion control or HD Rumble functionality, they didn't say anything specifically, but they're working on it. So hopefully, maybe they'll do something with that. I don't know if that's for that type of game. I don't know if motion control is going to work. Kind of like in Mario Kart, because you know it doesn't work all the time when you're using like the steering wheel or just the steering controls, which I did use when I was back on the Wii, but it might be a little bit hard because it's a little more faster pace on this game. So yeah, that was just a few things that they threw out there.
Yeah, I could see where motion controls as you're, in air or up on the side of on the stadium there, it could get kind of tricky because there's a lot of nuance to how you're going to hit that ball and where you're going to angle it. So
yeah, and obviously when you're like facing the camera, the controls are going to be reversed, so that might cause some problems. At least for me.
I didn't even think about that, about spinning the camera, because there's a lot of that goes
Yeah.
on when you get flipped around too. So yeah, I'd be really interested to see how that game turns out. It's great about the 60 frame per second. That should be real nice. So again, it doesn't have to be a graphical powerhouse because it is so stylized. So
yep.
Zeus, you've got what I think is a long-held rumor that actually might start to have some teeth here.
That is correct, DBQ Hams. What's up, everybody? This is Agasicles Damus, a.k.a. Zeus Adamus, with my first news story, which is there's a rumor and a leak that Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered might be sold as an individual package. So which one of you two guys bought Call of Duty Infinite Warfare? Anybody?
That was me. I did. Right. I finished both packages of it. So
okay, well, like most other gaming fans who happened to buy that game, were you also disappointed in the fact that that was the only way to purchase Call of Duty Remastered?
I could see why they did it in order to push Infinite Warfare, but it seems like they're leaving money on the table if they don't do something else.
Right. So my personal feeling, of course, I have a lot of negative feelings about the Call of Duty Warfare series or Call of Duty series post Modern Warfare. I guess Modern Warfare was the last good Call of Duty that I personally liked, and then things got really kind of bonkers. I, like many other people, were disappointed that you could not buy Remastered as a standalone, but now it looks like that might happen. So CharlieIntel.com, as reported by US Gamer, leaked today that they had seen an individually packaged PlayStation 4 version of the game. Current word, as the story has been updated, is that it will be released for PlayStation 4 on June 27th, so early next week, and then supposedly the Xbox version will be released on July 27th. Now, I'm not sure if the reason for that lag and delay is because of the marketing agreement that Activision currently has with Sony for the Call of Duty franchise. I would suspect that that had something to do with it. So those of you who were looking for that thing to be available, it may be happening soon. Word on the street is that it's going to be $39.99.
Yeah, that's what I heard. $40 for it. So again, it is the full game. As someone who's played through it, the graphics are really solid. It's still that same classic gameplay, and there's all the maps, or at least the original maps, with it in multiplayer as well. So it'd be interesting to see if this release gives it some life in multiplayer.
Yeah, it's kind of a good move. An interesting thing, I was listening to another podcast today, I guess it was maybe Xbox Unlocked by IGN, and, there's a lot of inspirational gaming going on right now because of things that leaked at E3, meaning people are getting jazzed up for Forza Motorsport 7, and so one of the commentators on that IGN podcast mentioned that he, like myself, was enamored with the concept of going back and hitting up Forza Motorsport 6, and I went back and hit up Forza Horizon 3 as well. So this may be a move where if you can get people to go out and buy the Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered kit and start playing that game, maybe that gets them jazzed up for the release of WW2 coming in, does anybody know? Is it October?
Yes, I think it's toward the end of October. Maybe it might be early November.
We're gonna have to probably early November. That's when they usually release them.
I have to fact check that real quick. But
I'm excited for this too because I did buy Infinite Warfare, but I didn't buy the special version with the with Modern Warfare Remastered.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this, and I loved the first one, the original Modern Warfare. So that was great. So yeah, I'll probably pick it up. $40. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
For a remaster. Yeah. And if you get everything in it, it's cool.
Zeus, do you think so? It does come out the beginning of November, November 3rd. So I'm wondering if because we've got it, the new game coming out is kind of the historical piece. Does this maybe breathe some life into people who are Call of Duty fans but are looking for kind of a modern shooter by kind of getting it back out there, maybe initiating some of the player base? Or is it simply a matter of Activision padding out some revenue in this quarter where there's not a lot of releases?
I think it's a brand play, right? Like I don't look, we may as well just settle in for another decade of World War II or historical shooters, right? Because we had roughly a decade-ish of that before, and then we started getting Modern Warfare, and then I'm sorry, not solely due to the Call of Duty series, but basically it was the early aughts where we saw really kind of like 2000, right? Which is when 2000, 2001-ish was, which is when we got things like the original Call of Duty on PC. Medal of Honor was a big deal, and we kind of stuck in that subgenre for about a decade, and then we switched it up to Modern Warfare. So, now that the Modern Warfare era is kind of coming to a close, like I said, we may as well settle in for World War II stuff for 5 to 10 years. So I don't know that there's a connection or a disconnect between people playing those games in those different eras, but I think as far as Call of Duty goes, I think it's just a brand play, and if you like Call of Duty as a series and a franchise, which really means that you like the studios behind it, then playing Modern Warfare definitely, I think, gets you pumped up for WW2, even though they're in 2 different eras. So, DB, what are you going to tell me about Blizzard and Twitch? I'm sorry.
Twitch, right? No, Blizzard and Switch would be a whole lot more interesting, right? So that would have been a great E3 announcement to hear some things there. So no, the Blizzard Twitch piece that I have here. So one of the things, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you've probably already got the notification that you can get a legendary loot box in Overwatch. But the more interesting piece, and this is somebody who enjoys Overwatch from a casual, but also has watched some of the competitive Overwatch as well. And so Blizzard and Twitch have signed a 2-year agreement for streaming Overwatch, StarCraft, Hearthstone, Heroes of the Storm, and even World of Warcraft Arena Championships. So Twitch will be the kind of premier and the sole kind of publisher, distributor, place to view. What do you call an online, right? It's not a network, right? It is where are you going to view this content? And so this content, the Overwatch Apex League, the Premier Series, the competitive gaming that is around Overwatch is going to be solely streamed on Twitch, which on one hand I think is great. It's a nice get for Twitch. It's a nice tie-in for Blizzard in terms of it's kind of a natural tie-in because Twitch being what it is and the broad breadth that it has. It also is an interesting piece because less than a year ago or maybe a little over a year ago, that Blizzard was doing some Facebook live streaming and it was integrated into the Battle.net client. And so now to be moving in another direction of going in with Twitch, it kind of pulls away from that. So I think the other piece of it here is that, as Blizzard announced back at BlizzCon last year, is that they're working on building and developing their Overwatch leagues within cities around the country and around the world. And so this, depending on how the Apex League and the Premier League go, this has the potential of kind of building that base, getting people ready for that. So I think it is an interesting piece, not only on the exclusivity of it, but also on kind of the building blocks of what Blizzard hopes to do in terms of creating an actual kind of geographic-based league around video games. So that is going kind of looking forward in terms of esports. My other news story is looking way back, and maybe not way back, but definitely looking back within the Sega catalog. So yesterday, Sega announced that, and today it launched on iOS and Android, is the Sega Forever platform. So basically, it's Sega Forever. It is a new mobile package of classic Sega games. It's going to be all their different consoles. the teaser trailer for it, the announcement, had not only Master System and Genesis and Game Gear, but also Dreamcast. I'm sure there'd be some Saturn pieces potentially in there. How much of that will be 3D based games? How much of it will be classic pixel games? Right now, there's 5 games that are released. It is Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon, Comic Zone, and Phantasy Star 2. So a good cross-section of classic Genesis games. They are free. They're ad-supported, so anybody can download them and enjoy. And the going rate is only $1.99 to purchase it. And so what they're promising is that it'll kind of be very similar to somewhat of what other subscription services are providing, where those games will come in, they'll rotate back out, there'll be a new set of free games for the next month, but there'll be things that will be available as they continue to build to that catalog. So it'll be interesting to see. One of the things that this made me think about, Glassies, is that not only can I slaughter your name, but also that about a year ago, or maybe a year and a half ago, there was the Sega earnings call and a Sega earnings announcement where they were moving development away from console and platforms and focusing more on mobile. And so timing-wise, I wonder how this plays out, if this was, rather than continue to develop new Sega things, and they have, right? The Crazy Taxi clicker that came out maybe a month ago, but this may be another way for them to, the mobile platforms were their big revenue source, and this becomes a way to continue to generate some of that revenue. So,
yeah, there's a whole big craze going on. I'm really not all that crazy about it in terms of. Sorry, I'm trying to set up for our next segment here. So
no, that's okay.
In terms of, well, and I mentioned it when the Nintendo Classic came out, right? I completely understood. I felt like where Nintendo was going, or where they were concerned with not keeping the NES Classic on the market too long, because retro games, in my opinion, aren't sexy, right? There's a small cross section demographic of the market that wants that stuff. I don't. So please stop. I know people are interested in it. I'm interested in going and getting some retro systems for my kids. I actually have this plan and I need to just go ahead and get on it, where I want to get a Pong set and start my kids off on that, and then kind of rapidly cycle them through all the consoles that I experience, right? Like buy one a year until they get caught up kind of to present day. But I want the new stuff, right? I don't need the old stuff rehashed over and over again.
Well, I think putting it out on mobile is probably the best play there, right? It's not going to be something that putting it on a store platform on one of the consoles or even on Steam is necessarily going to get some traction, but it's the people that are lapsed gamers. So Zeus, you have something old, something new. You've got something current in terms of some new releases, but you also have this rumored game that may or may not ever come out as well. So I'm going to kick the next 2 news stories over to you.
Yeah, so let's quickly run down the new video game releases that dropped this week. This is Sales Week 25 of the year of our gaming, 2017. And the things that dropped were God Wars Future Past for PS4 and, amazingly, PlayStation Vita. So God Wars is a tactical RPG, as DB and I have been talking maybe over the last month. I've finally gotten around to getting into Fire Emblem. Love that game. I've always loved things like Advanced Wars and other tactical, and Final Fantasy Tactics, right? So this is so that game dropped this week. It's not been reviewed by critics yet. User reception is kind of lukewarm. It's sitting at a 7.1 right now on Metacritic. Another thing that came out this week is Nex Machina for the PlayStation 4 and PC. That's kind of a retro, kind of arcadey shmup that came out. It looks super interesting, looks super fast. I kind of like those games because they're a lot like mobile. You can get into them, play them for 5 minutes, put it down, and walk away. That one is getting really good reception. It's at an 88 on Metacritic right now. And then 2 other games that came out, are coming out tomorrow. Ever Oasis for the 3DS which is kind of a Japanese-style RPG, sitting at 79 on Metacritic right now. And then Get Even is the one that kind of interests me on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Now, this is a first-person shooter, but it's also a thriller. So it maybe plays a little slower paced. It kind of you're kind of walking through the suspenseful parts of it, and then you will kind of quickly break out into action and fight a quick shooter sequence. It's a bit gory, so I can't remember what it is rated. But it's by a development shop, The Farm 51. And did I mention what it was released for? So PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So run out and get your games this week. It's a very light week. I think some of the big games that we talked about in the old Band of Gamers show, as far as when we did our summertime gaming episode right before E3, a lot of those games will be dropping in July, and then it's just kind of a huge Rolling Thunder campaign as we get into August. August, to me, seems as busy as November. So with in particular, I didn't know that a new Formula One game was coming this year from Codemasters. F1 2017 is dropping the same week as Madden. So busy month there in August. The second thing I wanted to talk about was a developer video showing the first in-engine gameplay of Beyond Good and Evil 2 dropped today. I'm going to try and play a little of that for you. If it doesn't work, we'll just skip it and move on. So bear with me. We've done the video playback on the show before, but this is the first time that I'm trying to get the sound rigged. I have no idea how loud it's going to be, so you may want to crank it down here for a few seconds until I get this going, and we will see how it goes.
Suspense. We have video. Do we have sound?
Oh, so here we go.
Space Monkey.
I guess I gotta lock it on my viewport here. So we're not getting sound, unfortunately. I don't think.
No, I don't hear anything.
Let me try one thing.
The actual game with some gameplay elements. So here you can recognize the big mothership that was in the trailer. Of course, it's not the same level of quality. This is a work in progress assets. But again, we wanted to share.
So now, did either one of you guys play the original Good and Evil?
As you know, the game is.
So yes, I played the original one.
But it's
played a little bit on GameCube back in the day, and then played the HD on PlayStation 3.
It's like a
I don't think I actually finished either one of them.
That one is about 400
Enjoyed
meters
both.
long, and you can have your
Prime,
crew inside, of course, your main character.
No, I didn't. I've never played. Never played it at all. I think it came. I think it's backwards compatible now, though.
Without anything,
for 360.
and you get your first.
So
Xbox One.
So were spaceships part of it? Was it a sci-fi theme? So this is a complete like era shift, right?
This is a total kind of tonal shift. Even a tonal shift from the trailer where they were dropping F-bombs.
Then you can have them in your
but yes, this from what I've been hearing, it's the prequel
of what we call the Russian dolls,
kind of
bigger,
corrupt corporation-run
it's very close to what we
original game.
Had in fact.
Gotcha. So here's the monkey or ape or chimp. I'll just call him the Sibian. So right there, this game has me hooked because there's a jetpack. There's a monkey with a jetpack
here, but of course,
and I love the scale of the environments that he's showing.
Create your own character. Just to give
I'm actually kind of impressed with something that's playable versus what seemed to be a very pre-rendered cutscene for E3. So
right, so he's got a little afterburner there, picking up speed. You can see the blur motion effects there in the background. I mean, you can see that. Now, I don't know if the cities that you see there in the background are reachable.
Of gameplay. You can go inside. We have interiors for those big.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead and just try and show like maybe one more minute of video, and then we'll move on.
I have nothing, but I have. Going into another city, there is no loadings and things like that.
So a lot of the conversation I've been hearing about this, talking about listening to podcasts, we were talking about IGN's podcast earlier, a lot of the conversation people are having is how
appreciate the
what
point
they
of
were
view,
showing, how
wherever
they
you
were
are,
talking
it's
about
really
it.
the
It had
same
a very
experience.
No Man's Sky
So that
type
was
of
one of the
feel
big
of
picture.
Okay.
this
We wanted
huge,
to make sure that
expansive
we have,
universe that they'd
before
be able to
showing the game to
fly those ships in between.
we
You
Okay.
know, they were
make sure
very
the
careful to
technology
use
was
language
working
that
on the,
wasn't
this big ambitious game was
recalling the No Man's
sustainable.
Sky debacle.
I'm
Right,
going
right.
back to my special. I want just to show you some gameplay ingredients. I'm going to
But
change
I
a
think
little
it's
bit
really
the time
interesting
so that
that, I
we
mean,
have a
maybe
bit more sun.
that
Yep.
this drops now, a week
That's
after the press
very,
conferences, a
very
week after
nice.
everybody else
Very close
has
to
had some
Bellingham,
closed door
like the
pieces.
Unbelievable one.
So whether or not this
Pretty
was something that was
very
shown
rapid.
behind closed
It's
doors
also
at
very
E3,
easy
or this is a response to some of the
Europeans and
feedback and
figure
questions that
very
people
fast
have had.
movement. So it's a dogfighter.
Right. You know, and
I can
it's
increase the
completely
speed.
feasible in the world of software
So this is a
development that
classic
this
play
was something
speed
they
we are
wanted
on
to
Earth.
show at E3,
Yeah,
but
about
maybe there was a
1,000
critical
kilometers
bug
per
that they
hour.
discovered at the last minute and they chose not to show it.
You
But
can increase that speed
you know, all
dramatically.
but you know, while they were dealing
Like
with that
this,
at
for
E3,
example.
developers were back at the
You will
shop
see
fixing it, but
the speed is
didn't get it ready in
increasing now.
time. So I have lived that experience. So, you know, the classic developers fixing the barn door after the horse has already come home.
Understand the speed, and I can increase the speed.
So I love this in atmosphere, you know, above the terrain view. Do you suspect that there'll be ship combat?
Looping, for example.
I would think that it would be very
can combine
possible.
anything.
You know, I think the hard part is that the original game didn't really give us, you know, the original game was all on land. You know, there might have been some vehicle sequences, but it was
2,000 kilometers.
much more dystopian, kind of a dark. It was a lot of gray.
Yeah.
So this is a whole, not only it's a palette shift, a palette shift as well.
You have the,
Yeah, I guess my hope is that my suspicion, because you just saw, I don't know if you saw it, but he was there's enough built in the physics model that he was sliding the ship sideways. So forward and lateral thrusters on at the same time, and then the ship kind of skirted sideways, kind of like oversteer in a racing game.
Sure. Yep.
So I'm hoping that shows that they're investing in this physics model. You wouldn't make that much of an investment in developing the physics model unless you were going to allow for ship combat, I would hope.
I would think so, and it would give them a hook of not only a single-player experience, but then also potential a multiplayer hook as well, which is always valuable to build in.
And oh, by the way, if you've heard the stories of the first iPhone event and how rickety the whole setup was and how all the engineers were praying it would hold together, you've just witnessed the same exact thing on the E2KG network.
All right. So thank you, Zeus. We are glad to know that this works, and we will continue to come back to some video casts and some video production as we keep moving forward. But Prime, you've got the last two news stories of the night. We've got about 4 minutes left before we hit our 30-minute mark. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, I'll jump through this first one real quick. Just a Pokemon Go update that they're going to get going here, or I guess already kind of pushed out, and they're still slowly rolling out the features. But gyms are being retooled, redesigned. So right now, actually, all the gyms are down. At least as of earlier today. I haven't checked tonight, but you can't get into any gyms. It just says it's locked or it's under construction or something like that. But basically, they're changing how gyms work. And real quick, before when you went into a gym, it was lowest Pokemon to the highest as far as HP. So the strongest was always last. Now they're just going to go in order of how they entered the gym. So if, say you got like 3 people, the strongest one came in first. He's gonna be first to fight. So stuff like that. So you got that, and then there's also going to be rewards that you'll get in gyms more than just, I think you got like coins or something. I haven't done too many gym battles, but I think after you beat like all the gym Pokemon, you'd get like a coin or 2 or whatever, however much it was. Now I guess you'll get actual items that they're going to start releasing. I don't know if they said what they were. I think more special berries and stuff like that and medals, but so you got that, and then also they're going to be raids where when you go to certain gyms, and they didn't really say how you'll know this other than there's going to be like an egg that you'll see on the gym when you go into it, and there'll be a timer. Basically, when the timer runs out, there'll be like a mega strong Pokemon that comes out that you can join up with people. Even people not on your team, because there's the 3 different team colors, so you can go up and try to beat that Pokemon. And once you beat it, you can try to catch it, and then obviously you'll get special prizes for that Pokemon. So that's pretty cool. And this
is the first time that they're having raids, right? This is something they've talked about for the last year, and this is the first implementation of it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I guess they had kind of showed it. I guess when they first showing off the game, I guess it was in like a trailer or something, or maybe they talked about it. But yeah, it looks like it's finally coming to fruition. So yeah, that should be pretty cool. Just trying to see if there's anything else big on that one. But yeah, I guess it's just the raids and the redesigned gym. So that's cool. And then finally, we have a console announcement of sorts. Atari is getting back in the console business. The CEO, Fred, and I'm probably gonna say this wrong, Chesnes. I don't know how to say that. They were speaking with him, and I believe it was, if I can find it real quick, I can't remember who was speaking to him, but there was a brief teaser trailer basically that showed not really much other than just like the Atari logo and then kind of like a wood grain like paneling, kind of like the old system. But this is going to be called the Atari Box, and it's going to be based on PC technology, and that's pretty much all we know right now. They haven't really said anything else. They'll obviously share more information once they get going more here. But I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think this is going to be? Is this going to be like a retro thing or what?
So go ahead, Zeus. Go ahead.
So I was thinking that it was, but my brief minute of crack reporter investigation noticed that the subtitle in the trailer says a new console years in the making. So it doesn't take you years to engineer one of these little easy digital PCBs to play retro games.
Yeah, I think that's what I noticed as well, is that I assumed that it was going to be kind of a flashback console, but they already have that. And the fact that they tease that it's years in the making means that it's probably something more. Truthfully, gentlemen, I would be really interested to explore kind of some speculation about this on our Monday show in terms of what this could be, what could make it successful. Is there a place in the market for this as well? So before we leave our viewers tonight, as we've talked about what our Monday show topic might be, why don't we give the teaser trailer here if we've got it up and ready to go so that everybody knows what we're talking about. And Zeus is queuing it up. So
yeah,
So
do you want to go ahead and take us out, DB, and I'll just roll this as the end credit.
We'll roll that at the end. So again, this is E2KGn30. So this has been just over 31 minutes of the news of the week. We will be back with you on Monday for our Enough to Keep Going podcast, or Enough to Keep Gaming if Prime is hosting. So we will be here on Monday at 8:15 Eastern, and our topic of that week is going to be this Atari console. What is it? What could it be? And why? So here's a little teaser and something for you to think about. If you've got comments, if you've got thoughts about it, post in the forum, post down below, leave us some comments, get over to Gearworks and make some comments there as well. We'd love to have you be part of this conversation as we head into Monday night. So thank you all for viewing and for listening, and let's hear about this Atari console.
Yeah, and just before I play it, I also want to mention big thanks to friend of the show, Greg Switzer, who posted a comment commenting on how much he's been enjoying the final episodes of the Band of Gamers podcast. You guys can go over to the old Band of Gamers channel and check out our last 3 videos covering E3. But I just want to say thanks a lot, Greg. And with that, roll tape! Oh, did that not play over?
We watched you and we listened to some great.
Yeah, there's no video.
It's only 21 seconds, no problem.
Yep. Okay. See, this is what happens when it's the first of a new podcast that we're playing with tech.
Hey, it's a live show. It happens.
It is, right? And it's years in the making. So
we'll fix it in post.
One more time. Let's try it.
We killed it. Goodbye, everybody.